So we are going to do a reaction on NBC's Chicago Med, one of the shows from the One Chicago universe. So there's also Chicago Fire, Chicago PD, and there's another one, but I can't remember it.
There's Chicago Law.
Law, that's what I was thinking about. I wasn't sure. And so Chicago Med just recently finished its season 7. So our reaction will be on Chicago Med from season 1 all the way to season 7. Grace has watched all 7 seasons, and I've only watched 6, which I'll explain why later on for those who are really curious. Maybe people aren't, but I don't know. Anyway, before we get into this reaction, please show your support for our channel, which we deeply appreciate, by giving this video a like and subscribing. Right. So why did I start watching Chicago Med? This is a YouTube thing again. I remember one of the episodes being recommended to me by YouTube, and I thought, nah, it's not really my thing because I'm not really into like the medical sort of stuff. Like I hate seeing blood, I hate seeing operation stuff. Like it's just, I don't like it. But I decided to play it. I still don't know why, but I'm so thankful I did. So it was one of Dr. Charles' cases, and I really enjoyed it. So I decided to watch like the entire playlist of scenes from Chicago Med, and then I thought, I might as well watch the show, and I did, and I watched it really quickly, and I started watching it like in 2019, so I think it was like after A levels, or maybe no, it was before A levels. It was just before we did our exams. So yeah, Grace, why did you start watching it?
Well, first of all, you recommended to me, and I never heard of the show, but then you told me about it, like some storylines, and it really got me really interested. And I started. It kind of reminds me of Casualty, like from the UK, and it is quite similar, but it's quite like a bit different. But it was really interesting. I don't mind hospital shows, but the cases are really like kind of attracting. Like very like the story behind each one is really good, and I just kind of fell for it. I fell for the characters as well. They're interesting, like different. So they're all so different in every way, and yeah, I just got along with the story, and it was really good. And yeah.
I gotta say, I think my favorite character is, you can probably guess because that's what made me watch it, is Dr. Charles. I just love him. I mean, he's the one who literally started my whole interest in the series. He's like funny, he's caring, and he's a really interesting personality, and he's like always right. That is the one thing you need to take away from anything he says. He is always right. I also
Mm.
like Dr. Latham as well. Like, I really wish we got to see more of him. I mean, I'm not sure if he comes in more in season 7 or whatnot, but he was an interesting character, and struggles he has to go through, especially like with having Asperger's, and like how the other nurses talk about him and stuff is like really sad. But yeah, I really liked him and his relationship with Dr. Rose or Connor. But yeah,
Mm.
Grace,
I
how about
would
yours?
say Maggie is my favorite character. I don't know why. She's just a badass nurse. She just gets everything done. She will take care of patients. She would do like she runs a whole like hospital like area. Not like Sharon or anything. She's the owner of the shop. She's great as well. But I think Maggie, I don't know, Maggie. I just feel like she's sort of like the real like she's just like feel like she's more. I feel like because each character I really like, but I feel like they're also like they're quite flawed, and they do like some like we see them like do a bit of like bad things in the show. But I feel like Maggie's the only one that actually kind of like she kind of stands up by her decision. She's sort of like she's a strong, independent woman, and I really admire this character, and she's really inspiring as well. Like she even stood up to a police officer just so to defend, just to help a patient survive, and that's brave. And I like Maggie. She is tough. You don't want to mess with that kind of nurse.
Grace can probably say who my least favorite character is. Who is it, Grace? See if Grace got it.
I'm stuck between two. Is even Natalie or Will? Which one were
Oh
you?
no, it's neither of them. It's Dr. Marcel.
Oh yeah, sorry. I was thinking of them. Yeah. Oh, okay, that makes sense.
Yep,
Yeah.
yep. I just find him really annoying, to be honest. He is actually probably one of the reasons why I stopped at season 6, to be honest. But yeah, I just didn't like him. He was a replacement for Dr. Connor Rhodes, and he just wasn't a great replacement. Like he's just, I mean, sure he has sad stuff that happened in his life and stuff, but you know, he just annoyed me too much. Like I just couldn't. I really just couldn't. I was
He had
like,
a he had a sad background. I mean, that's understandable, isn't it?
yeah, I got that, but like I just didn't like him. Yeah, go on. Yours,
Oh,
Grace?
God. I'm stuck between Will and Nat, to be honest, because while I did like them as a couple, I really did. I thought they were great. I just feel like they sometimes bring the worst out of each other, especially, and I think it's quite. This is an example of when two doctors like try to date in the same like hospital. I mean, even it might be great the chemistry. I just feel like there are different opinions will buck heads, and that could cost like a patient's life, or like it would just come a bit of a distasteful to like to in the relationship. And I also feel like Natalie is a bit more annoying, just a little bit. I feel like Will sort of does try to owe up to his like mistakes, but I feel like Nat. I remember you telling me something about this, like Nat judge other mothers and like tells her how flawed they are, and she acts like Hail Mary, and that is true. That is so true because I remember in the last few episodes, like some episodes, she judged a woman thinking she had shaken baby syndrome or something, and she judged a mother thinking she didn't give her child a healthy diet. I mean, why is she judging them? Not all mothers are great. I mean, some can be terrible, but don't judge them if they had problems of their own. I mean, and that in the final season of like before she left for when she left for season 6, she lied to Will in front of his face, and she stole like some pills for her mother. And while he spotted her in the lie, she continued lying, saying like, "Oh, don't, how dare you say I'm lying?" Like she continues trying to make him feel bad when she's the one that actually she's doing the crime. I just I just feel like she just feels like she's a bit too egotistic. Not in a bad way, just like she's a bit too much full of herself in a little bit. That's all.
And then in this show, we get tons of different relationships, like sometimes friendships, sometimes actually couples. So we had Manstead, Will and Nat. We had Dr. Charles and Cece. We had Robin and Connor, Ethan, April, Gooden and Dr. Charles, which friendship, like a really long friendship. Maggie and Will, friendship which we got to see a little bit of, and we've got Jay and Will who are actually brothers. I have to say, my favorite relationship is probably Goodwin and Dr. Charles, Sharon and Dr. Charles.
Mm.
Like, I really like their friendship.
Oh,
It's a really good one. Then talking about like a couple, it's a bit tough because, like Grace said, like I liked Will and Nat together, but at the same time, there are moments when you're like they're not right for each other. Like it's just not. It doesn't work. So I think I have to say Robin and Connor. Like I really liked it until it went a bit down. But
yeah,
yeah,
yeah. Goodwin and Charles definitely a great relationship. I would say Charles and Dr. Reese, they had like a very good relationship as well, like
yeah,
father and daughter.
hmm
It was just a shame she left like
yeah,
in season 4, which is we'll explain that later. But I just like their relationship because she never had a father, and they kind of idolized like, and he wasn't quite there for his daughters as well. So it was just a perfect match, really.
yeah.
Romantic relationships, Connor and Robin are great. I would say like Ethan and April because they were quite nice actually. They were very sweet. I wasn't expecting them to together in the
Oh yeah,
beginning, but
that's weird. Definitely.
yeah, but I felt like they were quite good. Like even it's a bit straight. Like he doesn't really give people second chances, but April is more open minded. I think that was quite good for Ethan, and I think Ethan kind of teach April not to be so like so nice and like trying to cuddle like her brother. So they just try. Maybe
Mm.
sometimes you have to be a bit strict. Sometimes I gotta be honest. I don't want you to hate me for this, but I feel like in season 6, I mean Cratchit and Dr. Manny. I mean, if Cratchit wasn't so annoying in the beginning, I did feel like they would have been maybe like an okay couple because he lost a child, she had a child, and they kind of understand like love for children, and maybe they would have been quite nice. I can understand that. That would have been if it would have been okay, but it wouldn't be a good it wouldn't be a perfect relationship though.
So over the course of the series, we've had like tons of different characters leave. Like Grace has already mentioned Dr. Reese, and I mentioned
Mm,
Dr. Rhodes before. And
mm,
I have to say the character I'd love to have back is Dr. Connor Rhodes. At the beginning of the series, I found him like really annoying, but I grew to like him.
mm,
And his relationship with Dr. Latham as well, like that was really nice as well. Like just
mm,
seeing like his Dr. Latham is like he just tells it to your face, and because he's got Asperger's, right? So he's completely different, and we really get to see like how like their relationship evolves. Like sometimes funny, sometimes like cute, but I'm not sure about cute being the right word, but
mm,
yeah, I like how they became friends. So yeah, I'd really love to see Dr. Connor Rhodes back because he was definitely a really good character. I liked him.
mm. I'll go be honest. I would like to see Dr. Reese comes back because I feel like her like maybe she's changed over the years. She's kind of lost her anxiety a bit, and maybe just confronting Dr. Child. Maybe reconnect the relationship a bit. I mean, it would be tough. I feel like because he's already trying a bit harder for his own like second daughter, and maybe it could be. I don't know. I just like to see her back because she was actually quite a good character. I really liked in the show, and yeah, I mean, I wouldn't mind seeing her again.
So I guess next up is favorite cases, favorite episodes, and I've got to give you in advance a notice. There I have so many, like, so I'm just gonna go through all of them like really quickly, and yeah. So I'm gonna start with season 1, episode 5, Malignant. That's the one where there was 3 female patients that were admitted to med who have cancer, but they soon discovered that they were poisoned by an overdose of chemo, and they never had cancer in the first place. So it's a crossover between Med and PD, and we find out that actually the case has a personal tie with Voight's life. So he's from PD, for anybody who doesn't really know. With his wife actually being one of the patients the doctor treated. I love this one because I love the crossover as well. I think that was the first time we sort of no, was it the first time? I can't really remember, but it was definitely a good case because it's crazy to think that we place so much trust in doctors, and to think that there was this doctor going around giving women an overdose of chemo for a cancer that they never had. Like that's crazy. And another one I had was season 1, episode 7. That one's called Saints. So this is about Bobby, who gives away all of his possessions, even though he has very little, being homeless. And we find out that actually he's like that because he has a neurological problem with his brain after having a stroke. But then, sadly, he has another stroke and he becomes obsessive. And it's so sad because April really thought like he was like this he was this amazing being, like he was like a gift from God. And the end of the scene is like Dr. Charles telling April that the real saints are within the ED, and all of the nurses and doctors are like working hard, and those are the real saints, those are the real saviors. And that was just really, especially like thinking about now, like with COVID and everything, like I think that really, has a special meaning.
Mm.
Another one, I'm so sorry, I've got so many. I'm nearly done, I promise. Season 1, episode 14. This one's called Hearts. This one was a creepy one, so that's why I liked it. So this one was Dr. Charles discovers that the patient's older brother Griffin is a sociopath, and it turns out that the father isn't the abuser, but it's Griffin who's actually the threat to the family. And we see how scared his younger brother is, who is the patient, Bo, when like Griffin comes close to him. And yeah, it was creepy because you never think it'd be a child. But yeah, the actor playing Griffin is actually just so scary. He's so convincing. He's
Yeah,
like,
especially his smile. It's like
yeah,
Cheshire Chat. It's like, oh god.
yeah. He was amazing. That was definitely a really good case. Another one is season 1, episode 16, Disorder. So it's about a neurologist who misdiagnoses her husband, who's presenting with mental and health problems with dementia. And then Dr. Charles and Dr. Rhodes like finds out that he actually hasn't got dementia because they do an unauthorized scan. It shows that actually the hormones that his wife was giving him was actually the cause. And so that was, again, it's another one where you think, wow, doctors can sometimes be wrong as well. So this show really does show you that stuff. Got 3 more. I'm so sorry. I'm nearly done.
No, go ahead.
Season 2, episode 12, Mirror Touch. So this one was amazing because I never knew a thing like this existed. So this is Dr. Manning and Dr. Charles like tend to a patient whose daughter has like similar symptoms but no physiological cause. And then it ends up being that the daughter suffers from mirror touch synesthesia, which basically is like she feels everything that everyone feels. And I loved this case because it was amazing because like what Dr. Charles like slapped his like right cheek. So that's my right.
Yeah,
He like
right.
slapped his right cheek, and she felt on her left. If someone was feeling sad, she would feel sad. It's just amazing to think that something like that exists. So yeah, I really like that one. And also, I think they might have based that one on the one that they did in House. But yeah, we'll talk about House a bit later as well, because I got to talk a bit about House as well, because there was a bit of a tie-in as well. Season 2, it covers through a few different episodes, but so Robin, who's Dr. Charles' daughter, like she shows strange signs of delusional and psychotic behavior, and it causes Dr. Charles and Dr. Rhodes to like butt heads over treatment plans, with Dr. Rhodes like wanting to actually take care of Robin himself. And it turns out, like I said before, Dr. Charles was right about admitting Robin to the psych ward because Robin tries to hurt herself. So basically, the message is Dr. Charles is always right. I mean, I feel like that should just be the slogan of the show. Dr. Charles is always right. Right. And my last one is season 5. This is the crossover episode between Med, PD, and Fire. So it's about that flesh-eating bacteria, which is widely spreading in Chicago, and doctors are struggling to understand its origins. So you sort of had to watch all of them to understand what it was, because like part 1 was like covered in fire, and part 2 was covered in med. Part 3 was covered by PD. I think from memory that is how it was. And that was the first time I actually watched an episode from Fire, and the first time I actually watched an episode from PD. And I really enjoyed it because it all tied in. Now I wouldn't watch Chicago Fire, like I just wouldn't, because I didn't enjoy it as much. But I think I'll definitely try Chicago PD. But yeah, those are all my favorite episodes and cases and stuff. And I think the main thing to take from that is that I just really like Dr. Charles, because all of them had like Dr. Charles in it.
Yeah.
But yeah, Grace, go for it. Your ones now.
Yeah, I don't have the titles because I've literally been trying to. I feel like there's so many that I haven't done, but I think the ones that I really like are the ones that kind of have like a story that kind of continues in a few other episodes. So like in the beginning there was like we see Dr. Charles and Dr. Reese talking to a man named Danny who is actually part of a sex trafficking, and we see Dr. Reese trying to help him come through it, and we just see like the struggle through that, and then it ends up badly because he died in the end. And we see how it affected Reese so much. Like she wants to help people so much, and yet she feel like she's let someone down, and that I felt like. And we also see Dr. Charles trying to say like that like you just have to try, like you don't get the right income that you want, but at least you tried it. And I feel like that's really touching, especially for Reese to have something like that. We also, there's another case in Dr. Reese in season 3 where we meet Reese's father, who I like didn't expect it, but then we see Charles actually quite suspicious of the man, and we were suspicious, right? And then we found out he's actually I forgot what it's called. I think it's anti personality disorder or something, which is also known for being a psychopath. And we actually see those traits in Reese's father, and we see how Charles is being really concerned for Reese, but he can't do anything about it. But then it was really quite freaky, like saying like we don't know what he might do, because we believe that he because there was a student missing from Dr. Reese's, like, I don't know the guy's name, her father's name, but he was a teacher and one of his students disappears, and Dr. Charles believes that, like, her father could be the killer. And oh, and in the end of like season 3, we see the father getting a heart attack, and Dr. Charles was hesitated between saving him or letting him die. We see Dr. Reese seeing that, and in the next season, in season 4, episode 1, we see them break off. Like Sarah couldn't stay because it just reminds her that Charles nearly let her father die. I mean, even if he's a killer, it would be heartbreaking. Like, just it was a heartbreaking moment, because we see how much they bond over the last 3 seasons, Charles and Sarah, and it was a shame that it broke up because of her father. It was just really sad, because I loved that relationship between them. And we saw like we even see Noah, who said to Dr. Charles that he was a father that Reese never had, and it was touching. I love that like case at the time. One recent case, you haven't seen it, but it's in season 7, episode 1. It was about like two twins. One of them is pregnant, but they want to be identical. And she said, and someone suggested a C section, like cut the baby open. But the other twin said like, we want to be identical. So if you're gonna cut her belly, I want you to cut my belly open. And they couldn't do that. But then the pregnant twin, agrees to do it. Like, you need to cut me open. But then when they were going to go in the operation room, it wasn't the pregnant twin, but it was the other twin that they were cutting it open. And I was like, oh shoot, like they're going to cut a scar just because they want to be identical. I mean, Dr. Archer, who's there, believes I kind of agree with that, because I never liked Dr. Archer. He was he was really annoying to me, but he said that they were delusional, and he was right. I mean, Dr. Charles was trying to say like, I mean, they're twins, they're sisters, they want to bond, but this was way past the line of like a little bit insanity in a way. All the episodes Emily said, which were like the psychopathic kid and the girl with the mirror thing, and yeah, I mean, there's so many cases that you really like, but
Yeah.
I think the ones that kind of like go on, like this isn't a case, but an episode is where we see Maggie's wedding. I love that. Do you? I don't remember much about that episode, but I love that moment.
Yeah, that was a good moment. Yeah, I remember that. That was season 6, I think, from memory, because Dr. Marcel was there. So yeah, it's got to be.
Yeah, I remember one more thing. There was another episode. It's called To All the Lonely People. We see this man coming from a car, and he was shooting, like, he shot April, and he shot like trying to get the other nurses. Apparently, he's what we call an incel, where he feels like he can't get love, like men who feel like they don't get love from like women, and so they just feel quite aggressive towards them. I've never heard of that before, and I just feel like that's freaky. Like saying like men, because nowadays women are still getting hurt or getting like violence against men, and we see this. I feel like men need a reason or like want to hurt women just because they feel like they're not getting loved enough. And we actually, in that episode, we get introduced of another character of a man. You This is the reason Emily kind of convinced me to watch it. So it's about like forgot his name, but he lost his wife, but they saved his like baby girl. And from that moment he never showed any emotion. He lost his wife and he didn't look sad, and he was quite creepy to me. Yeah, Dr. Manley was always there for him, and they sort of started something. I was like, why are you getting involved with a guy who just, I don't know, it was really weird. Because like he wasn't feeling sad or like or anything. And I thought that's freaky. I mean, there could be something about, maybe he has a disorder of like not showing emotions or anything, but I don't know, it was just freaky from the start. And yeah, and they started, like just getting together.
Yeah. No.
Yeah.
Mm-mm.
Yeah, that's kind of one of the cases. Like just like getting that same guy coming in again, and that case of like what he's really up to is yeah.
Yeah.
I guess I kind of like those cases are quite freaky, or like somebody that's very, they just test the characters to their abilities about like what to do in that situation.
Yeah, definitely agree. Yeah. And I like because like in quite a few medical shows they really just focus on the doctors, but this one we really do get to see like the doctors and the nurses interacting with each other
Mhm.
to diagnose like health issues or to like perform surgery and stuff. So it just highlights the importance between both of them and like how they work together, and also like the relationships between them. Like Grace said before, like about Maggie being like what is it? What was I gonna say? The head of the floor is what I would
Yeah.
say. The head of the floor, because she's in charge of that. Like she organizes everything, and it's amazing because when we think of nurses, we think of them like really not doing a lot. Like we think of them like
Yeah.
just putting on a plaster or something, and that's pretty much it. But they do a lot more than that, and they're really crucial to running a hospital and like helping. Yeah. Oh, what did I not like about the show? So I'm gonna link this to why I stopped watching it. In recent years, it sort of feels like the relationship between the characters are becoming like a bit more important than the actual cases. So the reason why I really like the show is because of the cases. Like, sure, I like learning about the characters stuff, but it was really the cases that really hooked me in. And this was especially true of season 6. Like, season 6, like to me, wasn't very interesting, and maybe COVID is to blame because it happened like during COVID, and they actually do talk about COVID for like a little bit of it, like the first couple of first couple of episodes, which is like really good because that was the time that we were living in, and it just felt like it was lacking in cases, and just after season 5, like it just felt like it was going downhill. And yeah, I mean, all of the episodes I talked about before, like all of them were literally from season 1 or season 2. So you can just tell, like, my favorite episodes were the ones that started quite early on. But yeah, Grace,
Yeah.
is there anything you don't like?
What you're saying is actually kind of true. Like, yeah, like the characters, they were yeah, I did like the relationships between them and how they kind of involved with the cases, because some cases, like they kind of understand in some ways. Like we see Ethan getting involved with like someone from the military or the Air Force or something, just something they kind of connect to. And while you're right, they do actually tend to focus more on the relationships, which is, I mean, I'm not too fussed about, because it's all about these characters like working in a hospital environment, I guess. But you're right, like the cases, they're the ones that we really are drawn to. Like you're the, like what you said about like the girl with the mirror thing, like that was fascinating because we never knew that exists. And learning like new things like that is, it's really interesting, and it'd be great if they like did more of that at the same time. And what else did I not like? There was some moments in the show that I really, really didn't like for starters, April and Crotchet. What the hell was
Yeah,
that?
that is another reason why season 6 was it for me.
Mm, mm. I mean, it had it. I mean, I feel like it did pick up with the cases. Like season 6, episode 1, we saw like when the hospital is doing COVID time, and we see like it really focused on COVID, like how they handle it, what like everything about vaccination, mask, and everything, trying to be negative. I thought it was coming back to that, to like focusing on cases, but now after a few episodes, it's kind of lost it and focus on like the relationships again. And um, I mean, I'm still watching it because I feel like it's getting somewhere now, like a little bit, but I think it did lose its spark for over after a few seasons. After like season 4, maybe, then I just lost it.
Yeah. That whole Dr. Rhodes and Ava thing was like, that was crazy as well. Like,
Oh yeah, that was weird.
yeah, that was. But yeah, who would I recommend this show to? Like, it's anybody who actually likes medical cases, I guess.
Mm,
Even if you might not like medical cases, perhaps give it a try. Especially maybe if you're a bit hesitant about the blood and surgery sort
oh
of stuff,
yeah.
then have a look at Dr. Charles cases because they're really fascinating and you really get into like the minds of some people and like why they act that certain way. In fact, like whilst I was watching Chicago Med, like on YouTube, House MD was like recommended. So I can say that Chicago Med actually did me a good thing. Like otherwise I never would have watched House MD, and House MD is like on the top of my list. Like it's on that top 3 or top 5 TV shows of all time list for me. Like it I still don't know where exactly on the ranking it is, but it's an amazing show. A few other shows I'd say that aren't exactly similar, but might be worth checking out are Harrow, which is like pathology, Rosewood, Body Proof. Actually, all of those are pathology related shows, and yeah, I mean, I might have reviews already out there, and I might have reviews coming for some more pathology based shows like the ones I named. So check those out. But yeah, yeah, I mean, I haven't really watched a lot of medical shows, so
Mm.
yeah,
I mean, I know a lot of medical shows like such as House or Casualty or Grey's Academy, I think. I
anatomy.
mean, I haven't seen Anatomy, sorry, Grey's Anatomy. Yeah, sorry. But yeah, I think it's quite similar to that. Like, there's a bit of like relationships in that, and few different cases are quite interesting. Um, yeah. Well, I would recommend it. Like, if you're interested in drama, this is definitely the thing. Like, I feel like anyone who's interested in like a bit of drama or like a bit of like something, just something quite different, because it's not all about like crime dramas or that. It's something like hospital drama and everything. This is because this show is all about like real life. This is how doctors and nurses work every single day. So, and it's just interesting to experience their point of view in their lives. So I would recommend it to anyone who wants to like experience that kind of that mo these kind of moments in their lives.
All right, last thing. Grace, 3 words you'd use to describe the series. Go.
Ooh, dramatic. Um, oh, very intellectual. Not very. I don't know how do I pronounce it. It's very um like if it teaches you a lot of things. What's that say? Very into
Educational.
educational. Yeah, sorry, that's a good one. And what else? Um, and it's very inspiring. You? What would your 3 words be, Emily?
I'm gonna be a bit cheeky. I'm gonna say 4, and you'll see why. So my first one's gonna be drama because there's tons of drama. Fascinating because cases are literally
Mm.
fascinating. And my last one, Dr. Charles. I mean, I can't just say I can't end it without saying Dr. Charles.
Yeah, I mean, what would the whole show be without Dr. Charles?
I know. I'm
It'd be
still surprised
weird.
he hasn't left the show. I'm
Well, I hope he never left the show. I don't think it'd be good without him.
yeah. Well, I mean, I'm not gonna watch it anymore. I've stopped. So,
Mm,
but for anybody who still watches it, then yeah.
yeah. So, guys, that was our reaction to Chicago Med. And before you leave, please make sure you like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell down below. Please leave a comment down below on your thoughts on the show and what your favorite characters or episodes, and what was your least favorite, or what will you expect to see in the next season of the show. And please check out our other videos, our other reviews on like Marvel TV shows, Lucifer, on Why on Earth, or anything or comment on what other shows we could watch. Is there any other medical shows that you think we should review on? And check our social accounts such as Twitter or Instagram, and please check our website. It tells us about information about us and what we do on our channel. Until next time, we see you later. Bye.